I watched my mother-in-law slip something into my drink. Her smile was sweet, but her eyes? Pure venom. A special cocktail for my favorite son-in-law, she said. My gut screamed, something's wrong. 45 minutes later, her husband was doubled over, pale as a ghost. And I knew I'd just escape her trap. But this wasn't the end. It was the start of a revenge that would unravel her. Entire world. If you've ever been disrespected, underestimated, or betrayed by someone who thought they could control you, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because you're about to hear one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever come across. Let's dive in. My name is Julian Mercer. I'm 32, an independent photographer living in the misty mountains of Asheville, North Carolina. I've built my career from nothing, snapping wedding vows, chasing bison through knee-deep Montana snow for National Geographic, and landing magazine spreads that pay the bills. It's not just a job, it's my life. But to my in-laws, Diane and Gerald, what I do will never be enough. Every Sunday, I'd sit at their polished mahogany table in their colonial-style mansion, the kind of place that screams old money. Gerald, an investment banker with a Rolex glint in his eye, would lean back in his chair and sneer. So, Julian, how's that little photography hobby going? His words dripped with disdain, each syllable a jab at my career. Diane, his wife, was subtler but no less cruel. She'd smile, compliment my latest wildlife shot, then ask, when are you going to settle into something stable? My wife, Haley, was my rock. We met 6 years ago at an art exhibition where my photos hung on the walls. She was finishing her master's in environmental science, all fiery passion for saving the planet. We clicked instantly. She got my need to capture the world through a lens, and I admired her drive. But her parents, they saw me as a phase, a mistake. Haley could have married Thomas. I overheard Diane whisper last Christmas, an orthopedic surgeon. Family money. The way she spat out creative made it sound like a curse. The Friday of Diane's birthday dinner. I'd just returned from a grueling week in Montana. My cheeks were raw from the wind, my boots caked in snow. But I'd captured images that would pay our mortgage for months. I was exhausted, but Haley begged me to go. Just a couple hours, she said, squeezing my hand. I ignored the knot in my stomach. I should have listened. Dinner started like always. Gerald bragged about his latest deal. Diane fussed over the table settings, her pearls gleaming under the chandelier. Haley's brother, Owen, and his wife, Vanessa, made polite small talk. I nursed a beer, counting the minutes until we could leave. Then Diane announced dessert, her famous sangria. And I offered to help carry glasses. She vanished into the kitchen. That's when I saw it. Diane stood alone, her back to me. 2 glasses sat apart from the others. Her hands moved quickly, pouring something colorless from a small vial into one of them. No garnish, no fruit, just a faint, oily film catching the light. She tucked the vial away the second she heard my footsteps. Oh, Julian. I've got this, she said. Her voice too bright, her smile too tight. This one's for you. Special recipe for my favorite son-in-law. My throat went dry. Something was wrong. My heart pounded. Was it poison? A drug? Why me? I forced a smile, took both glasses, and walked to the dining room. Gerald was distracted, scrolling his phone. Sangria, sir, I said, placing the tampered glass in front of him. I made an excuse about preferring water. He didn't notice. He drank deeply. 45 minutes later, Gerald was pale, sweating, clutching his stomach. The violent sounds of his illness echoed from the bathroom. Diane's face drained of color. Her eyes met mine across the table, and in that moment, I knew 2 things. She'd tried to poison me, and she knew I'd switched the glasses. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I ate my chocolate cake, smiled at Haley, and pocketed the untouched glass meant for me. Anger burned inside me, but it wasn't hot or reckless. It was cold, calculating. I wasn't going to let this go, but I wasn't going to fight their way either. On Monday, I took the glass to Jason, a former client who ran a toxicology lab. Personal matter, I said when he asked why I needed it tested. 3 days later, He called. Julian, there were benzodiazepines in that drink. Not lethal, but enough to knock you out for hours, maybe mess with your memory. Where'd you get this? I thanked him and asked for a written report. I didn't answer his question that night. I told Haley I wanted to skip Sunday dinners for a while. I lied, said I needed to focus on an upcoming exhibition. She was disappointed but didn't push. I couldn't tell her yet, not until I had more. Over the next 2 weeks, I dug deeper. Diane had prescriptions for Xanax from 3 different doctors, doubling and tripling her doses for years. There were rumors in town, strange behavior at a neighbor's party, accusations of stolen jewelry at her country club, stories her family buried to them. Why moment came when Haley mentioned Diane. Wanted me to take photos for her social media profile. I agreed, but I brought more than my camera. I handed Diane an envelope with the toxicology report and her prescription records. Her hand shook as she read. "This is absurd," she whispered. "I would never. We both know what happened." I cut her off. "What I don't know is why." Her face hardened. "You're not good enough for my daughter. You never will be. A man should provide security, not pictures." I stayed calm. "And drugging your daughter's husband provides security?" She snapped. "It wasn't going to hurt you. Just make you sick, make you miss that gallery opening. Show Haley you're unreliable." I let that sink in. Then I laid out my terms. "Tell Gerald what you did. Start treating me with respect. Or Haley sees everything. Lab report, prescriptions, and the neighbors you've alienated. Your choice." She laughed, hollow and desperate. "Haley will never believe you over us." I picked up my camera bag. "Maybe not. But she'll believe the evidence. Are you willing to bet your relationship with your daughter on that?" I left without taking a single photo that night. Diane called Haley in tears, claiming I'd been hostile during our session. When Haley confronted me, I couldn't hold back anymore. I showed her the lab report, the prescriptions, the hostile texts from her mother. "My mother wouldn't do this," she said, but her voice wavered. The next day, she confronted her parents alone. When she came home, her eyes were red. "My father says it's a misunderstanding," she whispered. "That you're trying to drive a wedge between us because you're insecure." I'd expected this. They'd turned me into the villain. For 2 weeks, Haley barely spoke to me. I threw myself into work, waiting for the storm to pass. Then a package arrived. No return address. Just a USB drive and a note. "You should see this. Vanessa." It was security footage from Gerald and Diane's house. Diane, adding something to my drink. Gerald, drinking it. Then, after we'd left, Diane screaming at Gerald, "This isn't the first time. You've done something like this." Another clip showed them plotting to break up our marriage, to plant doubts in Haley's mind. Vanessa, Owen's wife, called me. "They did the same thing to me when I married Owen," she said. "I couldn't watch them do it to you too." I met Gerald at his country club. He waved off the drugging as a misunderstanding. I showed him the footage. His face hardened. "What do you want?" "Money." He sneered. "I always knew you married Haley for financial reasons." "I want you to leave us alone," I said. "Stop trying to convince Haley I'm not good enough." He laughed. "Ask her about Thomas. The fiancé before you, we got rid of him. She'll come home where she belongs." "She always does." I called Haley's college roommate, Bethany. She confirmed it. Thomas was perfect for Haley. But her parents planted evidence, convinced her he was cheating. The pattern was clear. Anyone who encouraged Haley's independence was pushed out. I gathered more emails from Thomas, testimonies from old friends, more footage from Vanessa. I compiled it all onto a single drive. I invited Owen and Vanessa over for dinner without telling Haley. Over dessert, I connected my laptop to the TV. "There's something you both need to see," I said, for an hour. We watched the footage. Haley sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. Owen muttered, "That's not my parents." Vanessa whispered, "They did it to us too." When it was over, Haley turned to me. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because you needed to see for yourself," I said. "Not just what they did to me, but what they've done to you your entire life. The next night, we went to Gerald and Diane's house. I set up my camera on a tripod. I'm documenting this for the family archives. I said Diane objected, but I pressed record for 2 hours. We laid it out, the drink, the manipulation, the ex-boyfriends, the control. They denied everything, called me unstable, but with each denial, I played another clip, showed another email. Their faces grew pale. Haley stood up. I love you both, but this is unforgivable. You don't get to control my life anymore. Owen nodded. We choose our own paths. Diane's tears weren't remorse, they were panic. Gerald looked stunned, like he couldn't believe his children were defying him. As we left, I handed Gerald a USB drive. This has everything, I said. The footage, the emails, the testimonies. If you ever interfere in our marriage again, copies go to your country club, your business partners, your social circle. For the first time, Gerald looked at me with respect. I underestimated you, he said. Yes, I replied. You did. Justice isn't always loud or explosive. Sometimes it's quiet, deliberate, a refusal to play the game. I didn't win by out-scheming Gerald and Diane. I won by standing my ground, protecting what mattered, and living on my own terms. That was my revenge, and it felt better than anything I could have imagined. Did this story give you chills? Smash that like button and tell us in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? If you loved this, subscribe and hit the bell for more epic Reddit revenge stories. Until next time, stay true to yourself, and don't let anyone dim your light.